It may look like the Buena Park Police Department is closed, but they are open for business. This is Crime Watch. Hello and welcome to Crime Watch. I'm Jane Cameron with Sergeant Mario Escamilla of the Buena Park Police Department, and this is the COVID issue. We're standing 6 feet apart because we're practicing social distancing, which is something that everyone should be doing right now, right?
That's correct.
So things are different. You know, we're standing in a lobby that is closed to the public, yet it's still business going on, and you're still policing the community, and you're still serving the community. But things are different, right?
Yeah, so that's correct. Our front lobby is closed right now to the general public. However, this department is completely operational. We still have people coming to the front lobby and considering on what type of service we're still providing that service. We're just trying to minimize any unnecessary contact with the public, and for both halves. You know, we don't want to get sick, and we don't want to get other people sick, and vice versa. So we're trying to limit all that exposure. We encourage people to access our online reporting system, and they can go to BPBD.com and access that online reporting service that we provide to them. And if necessary, they can call our general line, which is 714-562-3902. And we have people still here at the front counter that can take online reports or over the phone reports, And if absolutely necessary, they still, don't have their, those answers or questions answered for them, they can call dispatch, and we can potentially send an officer out to provide that service as well.
With the stay-at-home order, is the police department responding to issues where people are not practicing the social distancing?
So that's a good question. We're not. We're not enforcing that. Yes, there is an order issued by the governor. There are recommendations to stay at home, but at the end of the day, we're asking for voluntary compliance from all, for everyone to do their part. We encourage and we're asking everyone to stay at home to help prevent this spread. But the only thing we can do is just ask for voluntary compliance. We're asking for people to exercise that social distancing, to practice good hygiene, to wash their hands, not touch their face. And just recently, we're encouraging everyone to wear a mask when they're going out if they need to go obtain those essentials.
You mentioned staying at home. There's a lot of people staying at home now, which means there's a lot more cars on the street. Yet I still see street sweeping going on. Have there been any adjustments to the schedule or the ticketing?
So yes, on the onset of the stay-at-home order given by our governor, we recognized immediately, I think most law enforcement agencies did around California, that it's impossible to ask people to stay at home. There's going to be a bunch of cars parked out in the streets, particularly in the residential areas. So the Buena Park Police Department is not ticketing anyone if there is a street sweeper day, so they don't have to move their car. But we are asking them if they have the ability, if any citizens have the ability to move their car on their street sweeping day, that would really help us out because the streets still need to be cleaned.
You know, it's an interesting time. And the department takes directions from your leader, your police chief. He's all in this, just like every officer in the department, but he's got a special message, doesn't he, for our viewers?
Yes, he does, and it's an important message. And I would heed his advice because we're trying to do our part and we're asking the public to do their part so we can get over, especially in the next 2 weeks, it's supposed to be very crucial, particularly for California. And we want to limit the spread. We want everyone to be safe, while still here at the Buena Park Police Department being able to provide that service for everyone.
Hello, I'm Corey Zinez, the police chief here in Buena Park. These past few weeks have been very challenging for all of us. From the uncertainty of the economics, schools closing, child care issues, changes in job work schedules, employment uncertainties, to trying to stay away from people with coronavirus. All this is extremely stressful. We understand what you're going through, and we want to assure you that the Buena Park Police Department is here for your public safety needs. That being said, we've made some temporary changes here at the police department that I want to make you aware of. Number one, in our dispatch center, our dispatchers are now asking specific questions regarding COVID-19. Anytime you call into our dispatch center, they're going to ask you questions regarding whether or not you're ill or you're sick, so that our officers know what they're rolling into when they respond to a call for service. They also may ask you to step outside of your residence or your business when you call us to make sure that we lessen the risk of our exposure to our officers so that they don't contact a number of people inside the residence and just you alone, the reporting party. Number two, protecting our first responders. Even though our personnel continue to work hard every single day to keep this community safe, organizationally we have had to modify some of their work schedules. Our nature of our job is us to come in contact with many people. So we need to lessen that risk by lessening that contact with our community members. So our personnel are now working from home, connecting remotely, using various software to telecommute, and trying to adjust to the new norm of staying away from each other. We have also modified our patrol work schedules. This is to help officers stay safe as possible while meeting the needs of their personal lives and making the necessary adjustments that balance the needs of the community. This modified schedule has allowed us to deploy twice the amount of patrol officers on our streets to keep you safe 24/7 so that you will have more visibility and more access to our officers when you see them. Our first responders have also been provided all of the necessary personal protective equipment that they need to keep themselves safe and to ensure that they are keeping themselves safe and you as well. Number three, social media. If you already follow us on our social media platforms, you know we are encouraging the use of our online reporting. This is a valuable service for crimes such as stolen and lost property, identity theft, and credit card fraud. This is just another way to limit person-to-person contact and to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. Our social media platforms and police department website, bppd.com, also have educational material available on them to answer any questions you may have regarding COVID-19. Number four, parking enforcement. We have suspended issuing citations for street sweeping and permit parking. We ask that you, if you can, move your vehicles from the street on those designated days for street sweeping. We want to continue to maintain clean streets in your community. We will continue to enforce other parking violations such as handicap parking, red zones, fire hydrants, etc., to maintain order and safety in our community. If you don't know whether or not you should park there, I would follow the signs and obey the signs at this particular time. Number five, community relations. And even though our schools are closed, we are still making all the efforts we can to reach out to our younger viewers and the students of our schools. We have a new program that we implemented that's called Canine Chronicles. This is a Facebook Live program where our officers are reading a book to the younger viewers. And after, the officers are giving them a tour of their police car and answering questions that they may have live from Facebook. Our last two episodes featured two of our canine officers and their canines, Adam and Condor, and it was a big hit, and we're really excited about it. So stay tuned. Coming up next on that program, we will have some of our SWAT officers that will read books and also take a tour of our SWAT armored vehicle. Pretty exciting stuff. And lastly, I just want to say thank you to our community. Thank you everyone for your kindness and your generosity and all of your support. Our personnel are so appreciative for not only the ongoing support that we get throughout the year, but over the recent weeks, the many lunches and dinners and snacks and coffee that everyone has sent to our first responders just to show their appreciation for all that we do. We clearly are fortunate that we work in such a very strong community. This is why I am so confident that we will be able to get through this if we continue to work together. Please remember to wash your hands, practice social distancing, and wear protective face masks if you can. The next couple of weeks are very, very important. So let's not forget to thank our first responders, especially our healthcare workers who are out there every day risking their lives and putting their lives on the line for us. Thank you. God bless and be safe.
We are now in the Watch Commander's office, which is behind secured doors in the Buena Park Police Department. What goes on here?
Well, our daily operations pretty much is ran through here in the Watch Commander's office. Our Watch Commander essentially is in charge of all of our patrol personnel, our operations division. And here to my left is Lieutenant Nguyen, who is our Watch Commander for today.
Lieutenant, I'm sure that things are a little bit different with COVID-19. How has the department maintained the services to the community?
We've deployed officers so that some of the businesses that are closed have more officers patrolling the areas, visibility on the streets for the public to be able to see us and know that we're out there to assist on any issues that come about. We have a fresh group of officers coming on, and the officers that worked earlier in the week get to go home and have their days off so that there's no cross-contamination between the two crews.
I know what happens in the field is super important, but also that in the Buena Park Police Department, in administration, you have a lot of support personnel as well. What has changed for personnel such as investigations or records? Are they all here?
Within the department, our professional staff and our administration, we've cut the week in half so that there's limited contact between groups of people. And if you've seen around the department, we've taken precautions to sanitize all the areas and have equipment available for our officers and our professional staff to maintain a clean work environment.
You know, there are some dangerous situations where it requires the response of your SWAT team. Does the SWAT team change the way they respond and what they do?
No, we're business as usual with the SWAT team. However, the assignments that we take on get prioritized. And again, we try to practice the social distancing. So if that's something that we can follow, then we will. If not, then we have to do what we do best, which is take care of business and protect the public. We've signed on to do this job, and it's to serve the public, and we will go out there and still do our job. But we will always adhere to whatever recommendations are given out by health officials, and our safety and our family safety is just as important as the community's.
You might be wondering what it's like for the officers in the field. Well, we have an officer from the field, Officer Tran. I know you're busy out there, but tell me, how is it doing your job in the field when we've got this whole COVID-19 issue?
It is quite difficult because obviously we have calls for service and we have ongoing contact with the public, so we want to protect ourselves and also the people we contact. So we have some items here. Generally when I'm out in the field, we would have an N95 mask or any other mask that protect your mouth or your face from people coughing, or if you have coughs or anything like that, breathing. Eye protection also, because you can obviously contract COVID-19 from the eyes of somebody's coughing or breathing on you, and get it from the eyes. And also we have disinfectant wipes, wipe down our cars and stuff like that.
Do you wear your mask all the time?
Not necessarily. You really want to. It's not practical when we're driving around. We don't have our mask on all the time because we're in the car by ourselves. So when we go out to calls, hot calls and stuff like that, if we arrive there, we don't have time, depending on the urgency, to put the mask on. Or if it's just a call to look for a person that's in the area, so it's not guaranteed that we're going to have that public contact. So not necessarily all the time.
We spoke about it with the lieutenant, but sometimes you just can't do the social distancing, right?
That is correct. So if we have to effect an arrest, obviously we're not going to stand 6 feet away and put somebody in handcuffs. It's not practical.
You're not going to do this?
Right. So we're still going to protect ourselves and effect an arrest as necessary. So that's when we would have to break the social distancing.
How is it doing your job now? Is it easier or more difficult?
I would say it's more difficult just because, now we have extra accessories that, more moving parts, to to kind of put on and be ready for the next call in public contact. So I would say it's a little bit more challenging because we also want to assist the citizens, but also maintain that social distance when necessary.
But then you don't see a lot of people out, right?
That's
There
true.
are less cars as well.
That's correct.
And all the businesses are empty.
That is correct. But there's still people out and about, so it's never completely empty out in the streets.
Officer Boudreau is the homeless liaison officer, and we've pulled you out from the field. How is it doing your job now with COVID-19?
It's a lot different. There's a lot of changes that were set in place in the last few weeks. One of them is priority, getting people into shelters that need help. There's a lot of new shelters that have opened up. For example, the Armory in Fullerton is now open 24/7.
What is the point of getting the homeless into shelters?
Ultimately, for them to have shelter first and foremost. Secondly, to stop the spread of COVID-19. A lot of transients move around throughout the city, touching various things without cleaning up themselves. So on top of offering hygiene kits, we're trying to get them into shelters so that we can not necessarily contain them, but isolate the problem.
I'm sure you're finding some homeless individuals who want to be careful and want to be cautious and don't want to contribute to the spread.
Right, absolutely. And like I said, we have a ton of hygiene kits that we've been passing out. We have a lot of hand sanitizer, soaps, toothpaste, change of clothes, gloves, anything that we could pass out to them to prevent the spread.
As much as you are contacting the homeless people, are you still having to go to meetings and other organizational type situations that are just part of your job?
So a lot of our meetings have been canceled because of COVID-19 and social distancing that's being set in place. However, we're still meeting with resources. A lot of the meetings were kind of trying to get resources in place, and that's still being done. It's just being done through different venues now. There's a lot of emails going back and forth, a lot of phone calls, a lot of texting. We recently set up a little makeshift shelter at one of our local motels, so we've been working closely with the admin of the motel, as well as sitting to work with the clients that we put in there.
Do you think the outreach is being helpful at this time?
It is. We've gotten a lot of people off the streets. The shelters are almost at capacity as far as I know. There's a lot of shelters that aren't taking in new people because of COVID-19, but the ones that are definitely being filled.
Sergeant, we're in the 911 center, which is the hub of the activity. They know almost everything before the officers do.
That's correct. So they filled every single call that comes into the Buena Park Police Department. And as you can tell, there's 3 dispatchers at one time. We have 2 additional open councils, so there could be as many as 5 dispatchers at one time. So yeah, they are trained to field all the calls, get all the appropriate information, ask all the right questions, at the same time trying to calm some of the people who are calling in to the communication center.
Lisa, with the COVID-19 pandemic, have you seen a change or frequency in the calls?
Yes. When it first started, we were getting a lot of calls from people who were just very confused, didn't know what to do, didn't know what they were prohibited from doing, and so they were calling us for a lot of information.
It's kind of sad, isn't it, that they don't even know who to call, and yet in a good way, it's a pat on the back for the police department because they are calling the police department. They trust the information that you're going to provide them.
Well, we like to make sure that that message is out there for the public, that they can call us if they have any questions or if they need assistance for anything.
When should they not call?
Well, it depends on which line you're talking about. 911 is for life or death emergencies or crimes in progress. And so we frequently tell people, please don't call 911 for anything that is not a life or death emergency or a crime in progress. And we were getting some calls initially regarding COVID-19 on 911 that were not an emergency, just someone calling to ask questions, seeking information, or even people calling to talk about groups that were gathering together and not maintaining social distancing. Those are not 911 calls.
Remind our viewing group again, when should they call 911?
You can call 911 for any type of a life or death emergency, whether that be for medical or fire or police. If you're having a medical emergency and you believe that you need the paramedics or some type of life-saving instruction to be given to you over the phone, that's a good reason to call 911. Obviously, if there's a fire or something in your home, if you see live wires that have fallen down, that's a good reason to call 911. And then, of course, if it's any type of a crime in progress, things like a domestic violence call, or if you happen to see someone breaking into a business or to a home, that type of a crime in progress.
What's the other number that they should call if it isn't that life-threatening or property-threatening type of situation?
The regular business line for the Buena Park Police Department is 714-562-3902.
And you hope that people use that appropriately too.
Yes, we do. When you get that number, it is a little bit of a phone tree, and so you just have to listen to the message and figure out which department you need to go to. A lot of your calls and questions can be handled by our front counter cadets and front counter personnel. Not every call needs to come to dispatch, but frequently people don't listen to the phone tree and the calls come up here, and then we transfer you, which is just a delay for you.
But you have a lot of information that you need to have right now, right?
We do. We're kind of the go-to spot for all the information that you need.
If you follow the Buena Park Police Department on Facebook or Instagram, then you are familiar with their very popular segment, the Canine Chronicles. That's something that you started during this COVID pandemic, isn't it?
Yeah, so we understand that the children, our students here in Buena Park and close by, are having to stay home. And with that, they're missing their friends, they're missing their teachers, they're missing that classroom environment, and we're trying to reach out to those children. We're trying to engage those children to make it a little bit more easy on them while they're staying home. And we understand how people get frustrated. We understand how kids get frustrated. So that was our goal, to interact with those kids as best we can and entertain them.
Officer Boynton, you and your partner were actually at a police car and you read a story. Do you remember what the story was?
Yeah, it was my new teacher and me.
Now, that wasn't in your personal library, was it?
It was in my kids' personal library.
How important do you think it is that you're reading to the viewers on Instagram or Facebook and you're showing the police car and the stuff that's inside it?
It's super important. It's important to engage with the public, especially the kids, in today's day and age, because all the kids are stuck at home and they're not in school. We got some pretty good feedback from our reading that we did, and there was like 450 students, I think, that all came together to watch the reading. So it's super important to engage the community.
And it's kind of cool because you're talking about what you do on a normal basis and the tools that you work with.
Correct. Yeah, a lot of what I do is public demonstrations anyways. We go to different schools and we do Red Ribbon Week and Target National Night Out. So we as canine handlers, we try and engage the community quite a bit, actually.
Now, what's interesting is even though it's called Canine Chronicles, the next few shows are not going to be the canines, but it'll be other elements of the Buena Park Police Department.
So yeah, we're still going to incorporate the Chronicles portion of it, but this week's episode is going to be SWAT Chronicles, and we're going to have pretty much similar type structure where we're going to read to kids. We're going to choose a nice book to try to entertain those kids. But with the SWAT guys, we're going to be doing a little bit of exercising, and then we're going to show them, give them a little tour of our Bearcat. It's our armored rescue vehicle. Hopefully the SWAT guys can show them a little bit of their tools and toys to entertain the kids as well.
It's such a great opportunity. You're reading to children, but you're also helping them to understand that the police department are their friends, that you're there to help them when they need help.
That's correct, and you actually bring up a good point that we are their friends, and along with Officer Boynton as well. How he spoke about how his family actually helped him choose a book. So just like the families at home are struggling and kind of worried about this whole thing, we are too. And we have families just like everyone else. We worry just like everyone else. And that's our goal, is just to calm everyone down. And we just want to connect with that, with our community, And before this, that's exactly what we do, just like he talked about, doing demonstrations and going to Red Ribbon Week and Read Across America. We want to continue that, and we want to continue to let them know that we are there for them, and we want to provide that service and still reach out to them and build that community with them.
Sergeant, what do you want the community to know about all the information that's been presented in the show?
So yeah, just like our chief said, Chief Cordes Inez, and the other members of our organization we spoke with today, the Buena Park Police Department is open and fully functional. Our operations have modified. We took contingencies to make sure that everyone's safe and everyone stays healthy. We've provided all of our personnel with that personal protective equipment, those IOSH-approved N95 masks. We've been issued goggles. We have an abundance of gloves. They're taking those precautions to disinfect, practicing good hygiene, social distancing. We're doing it on behalf of our community so we can stay healthy to provide that service. And more now than ever, there's a lot of officers out there on the street to provide that service to them.
And you need the community's help to make sure that they follow that stay-at-home order as well.
That's correct. Like we spoke about at the beginning of this program, no, we're not going out and issuing citations or arresting people if they're not adhering to the social distancing, for example. However, we are asking the community for voluntary compliance. We're asking people to stay home. The more that people stay home, the safer we all are, and we limit the spread of the disease, the coronavirus. So we're asking to exercise all those social distancing, only going out when they need those essentials. We understand that there are people who have essential jobs, and of course that's appropriate. But we're talking about those non-essential jobs where people are, essentially, asked to stay home by their employer. With children, we're providing other types of service to their families. We're asking those people just to stay home. And if they have to go out and get fresh air, because I know it can be frustrating at times, exercise that social distance.
Well, and as you can see, we practice social distancing as well in doing the show. It wasn't easy. It probably took a little bit longer than normal, but it was important for us to do it, and it's important for you to do it and to follow all the orders. Don't forget, the latest information is found on the Buena Park Police Department's Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. With Sergeant Mario Escamilla of the Buena Park Police Department, I'm Jane Cameron. Thanks for watching.